like, hi, I'm Dr. Foley. I taught this. I started the Global Scholars Program. And then if you want to like give just a little blurb about like what it is, that can be helpful because all three of them have mentioned Global Scholars, and so if anyone's watching the video who doesn't know what that is, yeah. And if you want to talk about how you think Global Scholars has helped them or affected them, yeah. Because, like I said, all three of them have mentioned it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be easier to, well, but there's 10 people, so I can't talk about the 3 global scholars as a group, really.
You could. I feel like, yeah, I think that'd be fine.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. If you just want to start off by introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lara Foley. I'm the director of the Global Scholars Program. Global Scholars is an interdisciplinary, I don't know what Global Scholars is.
Let's see, I had to write it down yesterday. An innovative interdisciplinary program that unites students from all majors to focus on the larger questions of internationalization, I think.
Ooh, okay.
I've got it memorized.
All right. Hi, I'm Dr. Lara Foley. I'm the director of Global Scholars. Global Scholars is a selective program that brings students together from various majors and disciplines to examine the challenges that face the globe today.
Okay, great. So what has been your experience, we'll start with Kirk, what has been your experience working with Kirk? You can kind of talk about when you first met him and working with him, and then how he changed from his experiences abroad.
Okay. Kirk he was one of the very first global scholars, and in the first Global Scholars class, and I have so enjoyed working with Kirk. He's taught me a lot. One of my favorite things about the Global Scholars Program is that I'm able to learn as much from some of the students as I think they learn from me. I bring sociology to the table, and they bring mechanical engineering and nanotechnology and things that I have not explored. Kirk, especially when we were traveling together in Germany and Hungary, I learned so much about electric cars from him. And then to see him really want to do research abroad, and we found several different programs that he could become part of. But he did end up doing research in Germany on energy storage, and I think it just really helped cement his application for his Rhodes Scholarship. So I think that research opportunity helped with that.
That's perfect. Did you have an anecdote that you wanted to share about Kirk? You mentioned the electrical cars, but I don't know if you've been trying to think of like a story about each of them.
A social security number.
Trying to think. Kirk always surprises me because he's so involved in so many different things. And so I took, in one of the classes that Kirk was in with me, I took the whole class on a field trip to the Fab Lab in Tulsa. And little did I know that Kirk was very familiar with it, and along with the person who was giving us the tour of the Fab Lab, Kirk was adding in a lot of anecdotes, and so it was just another thing that I realized. He runs track, and he works in one of the labs over in Keplinger Hall, and knows the Fab Lab, and he
Great. And what hopes do you have for Kirk after graduation? Obviously, he's doing the Rhodes Scholarship, but...
Yeah, I think, the Rhodes Scholarship is going to open so many doors for Kirk. It already has. He mentioned to me that this summer he's going to be doing an internship in D.C. That was through a direct connection with a Rhodes alumni. So Kirk is so passionate about his research and issues of energy storage and climate change. I know he's going to do big things in that area, and I can't wait to work with him as an alumni.
That's a perfect quote right there, yes. And then did you notice a difference in him after the first time he went abroad and then when he came back from his research in Germany?
Honestly, I am quite certain that all of Kirk's experiences abroad have helped make him who he is today, along with all his experiences at TU. But he's probably more than anyone, I didn't notice much of a change in him because he's such a just an even-keeled guy, and so every experience that he has seems to just add layers to who he is, but without a dramatic change.
Great. Okay, we will move on to Arthur. If you want to talk a little bit about when you first met Arthur, how you know him, any anecdotes about him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Arthur Wynn is also, like Kirk... Okay. Arthur Wynn... Okay, stop rolling your eyes. Okay. Arthur Wynn is a student in the very first class of Global Scholars, and that year there was a very competitive field for the Engineering and Natural Sciences College, and I remember just sorting through the paper applications and not being really sure how we were going to make this decision. And then we did in-person interviews, and after his interview, when Arthur left the room, I looked at my colleagues and I said, we have to have this kid in the program. And he hasn't disappointed since. He went to Japan, did research, learned some Japanese, which is impressive, without a background in Japanese. And I had the pleasure of reading some of Arthur's reflective journals while he was abroad, and it was really interesting to see how he clearly grew as a researcher and learned a lot about working in an international research team, but I also got to see him sort of experience some self-reflection and understand himself a little bit better. He saw himself as a relatively shy person, but then in Japan, where shyness is a more common trait, he kind of came out of his shell a little bit. So.
That's great. Yeah, that's really interesting too.
Yeah. Are they going to get to see this? And I mean, I don't know if he wants people to know. But
Well, it'll be edited, so there'll just be like a little bit
clips here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You won't hear the full interview.
Right.
But,
Or the whole video is just you.
Rolling my eyes,
we did talk about making a blooper reel. It's funny because I think one time when we were filming in the conference room, we had those like
I was twisted
chairs, and when we were filming Kirk, that was like the only chair that was there. And he like did the same thing. We have to be like, stop it.
Yeah. And one time I was in Cheryl's office, and something about the way her chair was sitting, I was leaning forward.
Oh yeah.
And
I remember you telling us we had
chopped that.
Yeah.
Oh, can I share a quick story real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry about that a little bit. Last semester when we were shooting an episode of TUTV, we were doing a news section, and we were talking about a news story about Fidel Castro's death. And something like funny happened off camera, like somebody dropped something, and so the newscaster started laughing right when she got to the part about Fidel Castro dying.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So that made
Context is everything in there. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had to reshoot that.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the serious. So what hopes do you have for Arthur after graduation? Is my phone in that?
No, that's cool.
I just recently finished writing a number of letters of recommendation for Arthur for graduate school, so I expect he will do great things in graduate school. And again, with Global Scholars, I'm a sociologist. There's areas of study that my students are doing that I know nothing about, and nanotechnology is one of those. But I know Arthur understands it, and I expect that he'll do great things in that field.
Awesome. Those are both great quotes about him. So, Caroline, if you want to talk about a little bit about how you know her and her projects and meeting her.
Okay. Caroline Moore is part of the second class of Global Scholars, and she started as a sophomore, so she always brought a real maturity to the group, which is important when you travel together. The Global Scholars travel as a group to Berlin and Budapest. I always loved grading Caroline's papers and work because as an art historian, graphic designer, her assignments were always illustrated. So she would write about the Berlin Wall, but also have many very cool pictures of the Berlin Wall along with it. She always brings an interesting perspective to the discussion too, and particularly I've always appreciated how she talks about the role of the arts in social change and in global social change.
Great. And do you want to talk a little bit about her, like she had an internship in Barcelona and she did the mural project through Turk. Do you know about those projects?
Sure. So an interesting thing about Caroline is she's very soft-spoken and quiet and could easily kind of go under the radar if you weren't paying attention. And then she goes off and does one of the most amazing study abroad and internship experiences of any of the Global Scholars so far. She interned in Barcelona for a publishing company and designed the covers of a couple of their books, and I believe the sales of the books increased after her design went through. And then the company asked her to stay on and work in a freelance capacity after she left. So that's such a great success story. I also was able to participate when Caroline, kind of the unveiling of her mural that she did with the elementary school kids at San Miguel. You have to edit that.
I'm not sure what that school is, but...
And it was really great to see how much the kids enjoyed working with her and the influence she seemed to have on their love for art and learning about Spanish artists.
Great. And what hopes do you have for Caroline after graduation?
I expect to see book covers and posters and things all around that she's designed. I expect that she'll be very successful in her design career.
Perfect.
Anything less will be a major disappointment.
Yeah, I hope I got some of those details right. Nanotechnology is the hardest for me to talk about. I don't even know.
I mean, you did Nano Japan, so we know that much. But
but I think, do you know if she's art history? I know she does design, but I don't know, I've mentioned her being an art history major.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well if she's not, we can.
I will make a note to look at that. Where is she?
Have you talked to her art professors?
We're doing.
Or are they on the list?
She's on Thursday. We're talking to Professor Olds.
Yeah.
But let's see. So for Arthur, I think I set up a date with the guy, one of his research overseer people, and then for Kirk we talked to Dr. Otanikar in mechanical engineering. So, yep.
He's a character.
Yeah, he was fine. So, yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Well, I'm excited to see how this comes out.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to hear about everyone's projects and what they've worked on, and they're just everyone's so well spoken and so they've just done such cool things.
They really have. Yeah.
So
yeah. The best, if we had done this last year, I don't know who would have made the cut, but the best kind of transformation story after study abroad is Josh Harris. He came back from study abroad. Didn't even recognize him physically. He changed physically. He made more eye contact.
What was his major?
German.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was very kind of shy, and his hair would always be in his face. And
I wonder who he would have selected last year. Because there was a lot of students that I graduated with that studied abroad. And so many of them were peer advisors and representatives for their... I know Abigail Gershwin was always... she always had the Poland stuff, and...
Yeah.
Like Tracy and Megan both studied abroad twice, and they were like reps, and Emily obviously
Yeah.
beat in her cool South Africa stuff. So just a lot of people. Cool.
Cool.
Well, thank
All
you.
right.
Awesome.
Yes.
Let me know
And
if
your
we
hair